Quarters. The Severe Weather Team, only on Channel 4 News.
Tom Cameron's Quake.
Chad Huntley, David Brayton, John Chan.
Earthquake. Thousands killed as a major quake strikes Pakistan and India, and the death toll is rising tonight. Terror alert. How real is the reported plot against the New York City subway system? And is there a link to insurgents in Iraq? Bird flu. As new suspected cases turn up in ducks in Eastern Europe, the Bush administration drafts a plan if there is an outbreak here. In depth, high-flying fares. If you think you can find an airfare bargain for the upcoming holiday season, think again. And Desert Storm, a high-tech race to find a way to save the lives of U.S. troops.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with John Siegenthaler.
Good evening, everyone. We begin tonight with an enormous humanitarian disaster halfway around the world. A devastating earthquake hit the Pakistan-India border, burying thousands of people under debris. The 7.6 magnitude quake was centered just 60 miles northeast of the Pakistan capital of Islamabad. It was also felt as far away as the capitals of India and Afghanistan. Residents across the region spent the day desperately digging through the rubble of homes, schools, and businesses, racing to find survivors. And landslides triggered by the quake have blocked highways, hindering the search for survivors. Tonight, there are reports that some 3,000 have been killed, but officials say the death toll is likely to be much higher. Hundreds may be trapped alive in the wreckage. And entire mountain villages have been wiped out. We get the latest from NBC's Charles Sabine.
It was 8:50 in the morning when the earthquake shook the north of Pakistan and India for more than a minute. In the mountainous Himalayan region of Pakistan, where the epicenter lay, helicopter crews are reporting entire villages wiped out. In one northwest frontier town, police reported pulling the bodies of 350 girls from one school alone. 60 miles to the south, in the capital Islamabad, one 19-story building collapsed in seconds.
There are people inside, and we're trying to get them out, and there are so many alive.
Survivors clawed through broken concrete with bare hands, cheering every rescue.
I felt the building was going to collapse, and I just ran out. And after 5 seconds, the building came down.
Pakistan's President Pervez Musharraf mobilized the country's military, describing the disaster as a national test. With 80% of mud-built homes in some areas destroyed and mass graves filling quickly, the severity of that test is emerging. In neighboring Indian-ruled Kashmir, the scenes are equally tragic. As in Pakistan, hundreds of thousands of India's troops are stationed in the region, a legacy of a decades-long border dispute. They, like their enemy, are now thinking only of rescue. But the task is huge for both countries. In many towns, electrical fires have been breaking out, and telephone, water and power lines have been cut. In the mountainous region, where villages are inaccessible at best, roads blocked by landslides mean some communities might not be reached for days. Only when they are will the true extent of this disaster unfold. But tonight, as frantic efforts continue to reach trapped survivors, it's becoming apparent the death toll will be considerably higher even by the morning. Charles Sabine, NBC News, London.
Earlier today, I spoke with Pakistan's Prime Minister Shawkat Aziz, who rode out the earthquake in Islamabad and then toured some of the hard-hit areas of the city. I asked him what his nation needs right now.
At the moment, we have requested our friends to give us heavy transport helicopters because a lot of the roads, these are high mountainous areas, a lot of the roads are blocked, so the helicopters can transport relief goods. All our choppers are working around the clock. And then we have asked for specialists in getting people out of collapsed buildings with heat-seeking equipment, etc. They are arriving tomorrow morning from Britain, from Turkey, from other friendly countries.
What's the biggest challenge that you face right now?
I think the challenge is to rebuild many schools, colleges, hospitals, shopping malls, homes have been destroyed. So a lot of people have nowhere to go. So we have to provide for emergency accommodation. We have to provide for food and medical treatment. We're setting up field hospitals.
We've heard reports of several hundred children dying in one area. Can you help us with that? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, we have heard similar reports, so I'm awaiting confirmations. But I've heard exactly that there are several schools where school kids are trapped, and they are now in the process of being evacuated.
Mr. Prime Minister, did you feel the earthquake?
Absolutely. I was with my wife, and we felt it, and it kept coming. And the lights were shaking, the floor was shaking, the ceiling was moving, and it was a long one. I kept telling my wife, this usually will go away very quickly, but it was long. And 7.6 is not funny. That's a pretty serious earthquake.
Pakistan Prime Minister Aziz earlier today. Now to another deadly natural disaster, this one in Guatemala. Flooding and mudslides caused by the remnants of Hurricane Stan have killed more than 500 people and at least 300 others still missing. Relief workers are scrambling to help stranded survivors. Ana Inez Carpio of our Spanish language network Telemundo is in Guatemala City tonight.
A river runs through the town of Agua Escondida after days of torrential rains blanket a large portion of this Central American country. Tropical storm Stan triggered deadly mudslides in remote areas outside the capital. Just today, relief workers were airlifted into the region. The death toll stands at more than 500, but that number is expected to grow. This part of Guatemala is particularly vulnerable to rain because many of the dwellings are hillside shanties that were easily washed away. Today, the search and rescue workers reached the area, but those efforts continue to be hampered by the bad weather.
The roads are difficult to get to. We've now brought in equipment to open these roads.
Officials say that some villages are still buried underneath 40 feet of mud. Villagers try to search for their loved ones, finding only small reminders of what was once their town. Ana Inez Carpio for NBC News, Guatemala City, Guatemala.
We turn now to the latest terror warnings in this country. New York City has been on high alert since Thursday after officials say they received specific information about a potential attack on the subway system. But today there were more questions about the source of the information and whether there was ever a real plot. Jonathan Dienst of NBC station WNBC in New York first broke this story, and he joins us tonight from Times Square. Jonathan?
An administration official tells NBC News preliminary questioning of 3 men arrested in Iraq earlier this week has turned up no evidence of any plot or any connection to any plot to bomb the subways here in New York. Some officials continue to question the credibility of the initial threat information, while some senior investigators say it is far too soon to rule anything out. With extra security measures in place for a third day, city officials say they plan to continue to step up patrols for at least another week. And the mayor again said the initial threat information appears credible.
Over the last couple days, become more convinced that the threat was real.
Flanked by his police commissioner, the mayor says he believes military operations in Iraq this week may have disrupted a possible terror cell that had wanted to strike here.
There's a lot of specificity to the threat. We're still trying to determine the credibility with our federal partners.
While having serious doubts about the threat, officials at the Department of Homeland Security today called the city's stepped-up response appropriate. The department did say the timing of the threat was specific to the week of October 9th, even though analysts have doubts about the credibility of the information. Those doubts because almost all of the information still comes from a single source, an Iraqi informant, who officials say in just the last year provided 15 tips about terror plots inside the U.S. All were uncorroborated. But officials say the informant has provided solid information on insurgent operations inside Iraq. including the arrest near Baghdad this week of 3 men who he claimed were involved in the subway plot. An administration official tells NBC News preliminary questioning of those 3 men has turned up no credible evidence that they were involved in any plot to target the subways. But investigators continue to track many possible leads. One senior investigator saying today, quote, "This terror threat simply has not been resolved." Because of these concerns, extra police tonight, tomorrow, and for the coming week as investigators stress and city officials stress it is safe to ride the subways. John?
Jonathan Deans. Jonathan, thank you. The top U.S. health official is on his way to Southeast Asia tonight to discuss growing fears about bird flu. The trip comes amid word of additional infected birds in Europe and a report that the Bush administration's draft flu plan shows the possibility of millions of deaths. Here's NBC's Rosalind Jordan.
In Romania today, thousands of birds slaughtered and burned after authorities detected 3 suspected cases of bird flu in ducks. It will take weeks to confirm if it's the strain that could infect people. This as the U.S. government ramps up its public efforts to address the potential threat.
We've actually been working on this for months. It's become prominent because of the activity, people being sick and birds becoming infected.
According to today's New York Times, the Bush administration is drafting a report that spells out how serious a flu pandemic could be. The Times says, according to the draft, the casualties could be high, as many as 2 million deaths, another 8.5 million sent to the hospital. Secretary Leavitt said the government has to plan for the worst.
The world is not well prepared. We're not alone in this. This is a very difficult prospect.
The draft calls for the U.S. to stockpile medicines, beef up healthcare facilities, and most controversial, be ready to impose a quarantine and use the military to enforce it. But NBC News military analyst Barry McCaffrey thinks that's a job for civilians, not the military.
They can help, there's no question. But nonetheless, we need to rebuild the public health service. That's the solution to a problem of this nature.
The administration stresses there has been no outbreak of bird flu in the U.S. So why all this attention from the Bush White House?
This is an important thing for the president to do in terms of containing a potentially devastating disease, but it's also good politics. He's on top of things. He's addressing a problem before most people are even aware that it exists. So this is a twofer.
Secretary Leavitt is flying to Southeast Asia this weekend to see how countries there are trying to stop the spread of a deadly bird flu and to try to lay the groundwork to stop the spread of the disease worldwide. Rosalind Jordan, NBC News, the White House.
When Nightly News continues this Saturday, NBC News In Depth. Holiday airfares. Can you still find a ticket that isn't sky high? And the duel in the desert. A race to find the best robotic vehicle for the military.
Dogs want to be with us more than anything in the world. Because they're dogs. And that's what they do. And when we can't be with them, we give them a jawbone to keep them happy. Because we're dog lovers, and that's what we do. Pedigree Jawbone, the long-lasting bone with a meaty center that keeps dogs happy.
There's never been a better time to talk with your doctor about Ambien. Because now you can try Ambien free. Visit Ambien.com for details.
She loves her wall screen. Her iris is purple. Her dog's golden. And her envelope's blue. Valpak and Valpak.com. There's something in it for you. Time for a change? Make your home a showplace with a $5,000 home makeover from Valpak. Check your envelope or visit Valpak.com for a chance to win.
$30,000. Do I hear 40? $40,000. Do I hear 50? 50,000. I have 50,000. Sold to the gentleman in the center.
Hi.
Moving on. This is a 19th.
Okay. I want to go ahead and sell it now.
Sell what?
that thing I bought.
Constantly buying and selling stocks doesn't make much sense either. That's why Edward Jones advises clients to buy long-term investments. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Ranked highest in investor satisfaction with full-service brokerage firms by J.D. Power and Associates.
You've never seen anything like this before. Not that. This.
The Icy Hot Medicated Sleeve. Joint-hugging pain relief with medicine that goes on icy to dull the pain, then gets hot to relax it away.
The Icy Hot Sleeve. There's never been anything like it.
I'm famished.
Hey, you know what I want? Grilled tuna.
Sounds good. Where do you want to go?
How about right here? Introducing new Starkist tuna fillets. Grilled, marinated, sliced tuna that's glazed with delectable sauces. The Starkist Flavor Fresh pouch seals in the fresh taste for a healthy, delicious dinner.
I love this tuna.
Thanks, I think you're kind of special too. New Starkist tuna fillets. Great taste is right here.
NBC News in depth tonight. Soaring holiday fares. If you were hoping for cheap flights this holiday season, you might have to scramble to get a good deal. NBC's Michelle Kosinski takes a look at what's sending ticket prices to the stratosphere in depth.
Already, the hard-to-find item this holiday season, cheap airfares. Amy Klinke in Ann Arbor, Michigan, thought she was booking early to see her grandparents in Reno. Last year, she waited until 2 weeks before Christmas and paid $450. But now, 3 months early, it's the same price, nearly breaking her holiday spirit.
I've lost my sticker shock. It was just like acceptance, like, oh gosh, it's so expensive.
And she still needs to find a deal for her parents. Analysts say she may be out of luck.
Now, some of the stories that we're hearing is where the fares are $300, $400, $500 more. That simply means that the lower fares are sold out and these planes are almost full.
Terry Tripler with CheapTickets.com says prices are starting out about $50 higher this year for one main reason.
Fuel is number one. The reason airfares are going up is fuel.
He says consumers realized after Hurricanes Katrina and Rita that fuel costs would drive up airfares, so they bought early. Last year, the lowest fare offered from New York to Denver on December 21st was $199. If you book today on Orbitz, the best you could do is $351. Philadelphia to LA, up from $198 to $387. Boston to Miami, from $172 to $314. People snapped up the cheaper fares, which are in shorter supply this year, as many airlines face financial troubles. Several are cutting the number of flights, so there's more competition for fewer great rates.
But even the low-cost carriers are hurting right now because of high fuel prices.
Then again, analysts say if no one buys the pricey fares, the airlines will likely have to drop them.
One way or another, they'll fill that airplane.
But he doesn't recommend waiting for a bargain. At this rate, experts say the last-minute shoppers may find no seats left at any price. Michelle Kosinski, NBC News, New York.
When we come back, handling her state of emergency, a hard look at the disaster response of Louisiana's governor.
Eyes match your PJs. There's a Visine for that. Contacts making you uncomfortable? There's a Visine for that. Eyes dried out? There's a new Visine for that. For over 40 years, Visine has been the eye expert. So no matter what your eye irritation, red, contacts, dry, or even itch, there's a Visine for that.
The Verizon Fiber Optic Broadband Network.
Connecting more people
to gaming, video, music, and each other. My job.
My job. Make the network even stronger. Faster, more powerful.
With our growing team of experts, we're building the only large-scale, fully fiber optic network in America.
To deliver the next generation phone, internet, and TV. I'm proud. I'm proud.
I'm proud. We're proud to be Verizon. Our people, our network.
The Decon No View No Touch Mousetrap. It kills mice instantly, but it spares you from having to see them or touch them. Which would you rather dispose of? The No View No Touch Mousetrap, only from Decon, America's #1 mouse killer.
I'm ready to fight my cancer.
I'm ready to begin chemotherapy.
I really am ready because I'm going to take Neulasta right from the start to help protect me from infection.
Chemotherapy can reduce your white blood cell count and increase your risk of infection, which could put your treatment on hold. But Neulasta is a white blood cell booster that can help restore your white blood cell count to reduce your risk of infection. And with a sufficient white blood cell count, your doctor may have a better chance of giving you your chemo on schedule, which doctors agree is the first step to success. Neulasta is for most cancer patients receiving strong chemotherapy. In rare cases, splenic rupture or serious allergic reactions have been reported. Report abdominal or shoulder pain or any allergic reaction to your doctor immediately. The most common side effect of this injection is mild to moderate bone pain.
I'm ready to start.
I'm ready to fight.
I'm ready. Thanks to Neulasta.
Ask your doctor about Neulasta and how you can be ready for chemotherapy.
In the aftermath of the hurricanes, NBC News has been taking a hard look at response failures by government officials, and there are plenty to go around. We've already brought you reviews of federal and city actions. Well, tonight, NBC senior investigative correspondent Lisa Myers focuses on the performance of Louisiana Governor Kathleen Blanco.
It was Governor Blanco's first big disaster, and on that Saturday, less than 48 hours before Katrina hit, she reassured the state.
I believe that we are really prepared. That's the one thing that I've always been able to brag about.
Though experts had warned it would take 48 hours to evacuate New Orleans, Blanco did not order a mandatory evacuation that Saturday.
And we're going to pray that the impact will soften.
She and the mayor waited until Sunday, only 20 hours before Katrina came ashore, to order a mandatory evacuation. The first of what disaster experts and Louisiana insiders say were serious mistakes by the governor.
It certainly appeared that there was a lot of indecisiveness exhibited by the governor in the early stages of the disaster.
A key criticism, the governor's slowness in requesting federal troops. She told the president she needed help, but it wasn't until Wednesday that she specifically asked for 40,000 troops. That day, in a whispered conversation with her staff caught on camera, the governor appears to second-guess herself.
I really need to call for the military, and I should have started that in the first call.
Another key mistake, experts say, Blanco's lateness in getting the Louisiana National Guard, which she commands, on the streets to try to establish security.
It would have been better if it had happened sooner.
And remember the chaos at the convention center? We now know there were at least 250 guardsmen deployed in another part of that building. But they were engineers, not police, so they were not directed to help restore order or even to share their food and water.
I think we would have hurt a lot of people if we tried to take that on.
The governor would not say whether she made the decision not to use these troops, and tells NBC News that her state's response to Katrina was, quote, very well planned and executed with great precision and effectiveness.
How can any governor argue that they have done what they can do when people were left on an interstate without food and water for a week?
The governor has said she takes responsibility for what went wrong, but insists her biggest mistake was believing FEMA officials who told her help was on the way. Lisa Myers, NBC News, Washington.
In his weekly radio address, President Bush again tried to stem the tide of conservative criticism with more praise for Supreme Court nominee Harriet Miers. The nomination battle will be one of the topics tomorrow on NBC's Meet the Press with Tim Russert. When NBC Nightly News continues this Saturday, battling bots, the military stages a robot race in the desert.
If you ran a drug company, what would you change?
I would try to prevent disease, not just treat it.
I would go after the really tough diseases.
I'd make it so folks wouldn't have to choose between their groceries and their medicine.
At Merck, we believe in the same things you do. Because 50 years ago, George Merck told us to put patients first by creating novel medicines and vaccines and getting them to the people who need them.
I would try to see everything through the eyes of a patient.
Merck, where patients come first.
I promise.
I promise.
I promise. The all-new Chevy Impala gets an estimated 31 highway miles per gallon.
Malibu LS with 32.
Cobalt LS, 34.
And a Aveo with 35.
I promise that Chevy Tahoe has best-in-class fuel economy.
We even took a Silverado and created the first full-size hybrid pickup truck.
I promise fuel economy is just as important to Chevy as it is to you.
That's a Chevy Total Value Promise.
There's never been a better time to talk with your doctor about Ambien. Because now you can try Ambien free. Visit Ambien.com for details.
What the world needs now is sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just.
Your call will be answered in 30 minutes.
My car ready yet?
Whatever happened to customer service? At DHL, it's alive and well.
I'm on it.
Call us and see how we're changing the way the shipping business does business.
My dad and I have been in the septic business for over 40 years. A septic system today can cost many, many thousands of dollars to replace. In my opinion, using Rid-X once a month makes costly repairs less likely.
Rid-X uses 100% natural bacteria and enzymes to break down hard-to-dissolve waste, even paper, to help keep your septic system operating efficiently and prevent backups between pumpings.
I've always recommended Rid-X, and I've never recommended anything else.
Rid-X, the #1 septic treatment brand.
Monday, new guidelines for parents to prevent sudden infant death. And Tuesday, for 1 hour, Matt's with George and Laura Bush, live from the Hurricane Zone. On Today. Storm insurance. Are you covered? NBC Nightly News, Monday.
And finally tonight, some unusual military maneuvers in the Nevada desert. It was a race for robots sponsored by the Defense Department. And while it might sound like science fiction, the military is looking for vehicles that don't need drivers, part of an effort to save the lives of American troops. Here's NBC's George Lewis.
At sunrise this morning in the Nevada desert, about 40 miles south of Las Vegas, the robots got ready to race.
And we have movement from Stanley, ladies and gentlemen.
23 machines ranging from tiny all-terrain vehicles to a 16-ton monster truck called Terramax. And no humans behind the wheel. These robocars drive themselves using a combination of onboard sensing devices and satellite navigation systems, running over a rugged desert course spanning 132 miles.
It's a huge desert with great mountains, hostile terrain, very difficult for a machine to do. No one knows what will happen.
In sponsoring this race and offering a $2 million prize, the Pentagon is thinking of a different kind of hostile terrain. The war in Iraq and all those convoys that have been ambushed. The Defense Department reasons that if the job of driving some of its vehicles could be automated, fewer soldiers would be put at risk.
When we first were in Iraq, Private Jessica Lynch, who you might remember, would never have been captured if we had had this technology because she wouldn't have been in the truck.
Two of the teams in the competition are from Louisiana. Before he got here, Scott Wilson of the Cajun Bot crew was piloting a boat, rescuing victims of Hurricane Katrina. He compares that to competing here.
A lot of things are going bad and you're trying to do the best you can with very limited sleep.
This is the second year the Pentagon has run this race. Last year, none of the robots finished. They all broke down en route. This year, the racers say they've learned from their mistakes. And 7 hours later, an SUV dubbed Stanley from Stanford University won the race and the $2 million.
How about that?
This is a beginning. We have shown that we can build cars that can drive themselves. The impossible has been achieved.
And he predicted someday soon there will be robotic cars on the nation's highways. George Lewis, NBC News, Primm, Nevada.
That's NBC Nightly News for this Saturday. Thanks for watching. I'm John Siegenthaler reporting tonight from New York. I'll see you back here again tomorrow night.
NBC News, America's news leader.
It's Watson's Customer Appreciation Sale, the newest products at rollback prices.
Save 20 to 40% on pool tables, bars, poker tables, home theater seating. Save even more when you choose one of our game room collections.
Cal Spas and Viking Spas, relaxation at affordable prices. No interest, no payments for 6 months.
Area's largest selection of gas logs, vent-free, and electric fireplaces.
Save up to 60% on all remaining patio furniture.
Save up to half off on all remaining pools.
That's Watson's.
This holiday season, get away to the most spirited Christmas celebration ever. It's a country Christmas presented by Cracker Barrel Old Country Store at Gaylord Opryland, Nashville. The Radio City Christmas Spectacular starring the world-famous Rockettes returns with 3 new scenes. Enjoy ice filled with larger-than-life sculptures carved from 1.5 million pounds of ice. And sit down to a traditional dinner with holiday music at the Pam Tellis Christmas Dinner Party. Gaylord Opryland's A Country Christmas. Call now.
Now, there are more reasons than ever to shop Rooms to Go, like our new fall styles, the exclusive Cindy Crawford Home Collection with its exciting designs, sensible Rooms to Go pricing, and honest financing with first payment